Hello and welcome. Welcome back to the Ryan Weiss Show. This is episode 3, and thank you very much for tuning in today. Before I start, I have received a lot of positive feedback from folks about my channel, and I just wanted to take a minute to thank a few people in particular. Thanks to my friend Trevor up in Concord. He gave me some great advice on getting a microphone and also how to improve some of the content of my videos. Shout out to the 22 crew up in Scarborough, Maine. Thanks for your support and your comments and your love. And then another thank you to Team Impact down in Florida, the Charbonneau brothers and Quan and everyone. Thank you for your support and interest in what I'm doing here. It really means a lot to me. If you're new to the channel, I'm doing a video series that I'm calling Lessons for My Kids. And with this series, I am publishing videos on what I sort of determine to be some of the most critical lessons that I want to make sure that my children learn. And I'm recording these videos partially to get comfortable recording videos, and also because to me, I don't really mind if these videos don't get a lot of views because I'm publishing them for my children. So I'm publishing them because I hope that you get value, but I'm also just publishing them to satisfy my own desire to make sure my kids learn the lessons that I want them to learn in case anything were to happen to me. So this is lesson number 2, video number 3. And today's lesson is the importance of personal development. One of the pieces of feedback that my friend Trevor gave me was that storytelling can be a really useful way to convey a point. And I think that is really excellent advice. And so moving forward, I think I'm going to try to incorporate a story in these videos as I tell about the principle. So I have a story in mind. First, I just want to explain the concept. That way you can see how it applies to the story that I tell. So for me, my understanding of personal development is that it is possible for a person to change and improve themselves over time. Now, for a lot of people, that might seem kind of like obvious, kind of like duh, but I think it's more subtle than a lot of people understand. There is this concept called fixed versus growth mindset. And the idea behind that is, people sort of fall into one of two camps. There are a group of people who have a fixed mindset. They believe that they have inherent traits about them that they have no control over changing, and that those traits drive the results of their life, right? So I am always late. I'm always late because I have trouble keeping time. I've always had trouble keeping time, therefore I'm always going to be late. The interesting thing about some of these self-beliefs is that a lot of them are not necessarily consciously held beliefs. A lot of them just sort of go unchallenged within our own minds. And so discovering if you have a fixed or a growth mindset can actually be kind of a challenging thing to do. It's also not necessarily black and white, too, about all areas of your life. So, for example, you could have a growth mindset in business and think, my ability to grow my business and grow my income is unlimited. And at the same time, you could have a fixed mindset in your personal health or in your marriage and say, I've just kind of always been a little bit chubby. I really have tried hard to lose this weight and it's just not going to happen for me. So you can have different mindsets in different parts of your life. It's not necessarily like you just have a fixed or have a growth period. So fixed versus growth mindset, and can you improve and change this person or not? An example of personal development in my life would be when I started my career. When I first started my career, I had just come back from a 2-month backpacking trip in Europe. And on that trip, I had left with the intention of finding my life purpose, if you can believe it. It's no small feat. And for some reason, I thought I would find my life purpose in Europe. I don't know why I thought it was in Europe. But I think I just, wanted to have some space to think and some space to be alone, which the Europe trip did give me. But I came back, still not being exactly sure of my purpose, but knowing that, I was kind of done thinking about it. I think a component of finding a life purpose, as sort of a side tangent, a component of finding a life purpose is that you can find it through action, and it's not necessarily something you find through quiet meditation. That's a side note. Came back from Europe, and I said, okay, I'm broke. I need to get a job. And so my first sort of adult job was a job that I found on Craigslist. There was an advertisement looking for a salesman, and it was a commission-only sales job at a company called Clear Choice Home Improvements. They're still in business now. And it was a commission-only sales job, and I was selling roofs and gutters. So the setup to my days were that the company had a serious marketing department. They would advertise to folks, and then they would set 2 appointments for me per day to come out and give a free estimate, right? And so I would give folks free estimates, but while I was there, I would tell them about all the benefits of our product and, encourage them with some kind of discount to allow us to get it scheduled to install. And this was a really excellent first job. I as a side note, again, sales experience is just so wonderful. I think a lot of people would greatly benefit from having some sales experience. So when I first started this job, I had a tough go at it. When I first started meeting with people, I felt pretty uncomfortable. I felt like I was annoying them coming into their home. I did not make many sales. I was making, maybe $250 or $300 per week at some points, which was just enough to sort of barely pay my bills. I was so frugal back then. And I knew that I could do better, but I wasn't sure. So I talked with my sales manager, and she recommended a list of a few people to start listening to in my car in between sales appointments. Those people were Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy, Jim Rohn. And so I started playing these audios between my sales appointments and feeding myself and feeding my mind. And a lot of what these people had to say, you can probably imagine, how to have a positive attitude, how to have a positive self-image, how to feel comfortable asking for what you want, how to set good boundaries. And then a lot of the lessons went beyond that, and they've helped me generally in life and not just with my sales career. But slowly but surely, I started making more at my sales job. I started closing sales. I started feeling good about closing sales. My customers that bought from me were really happy and frequently left the company, high reviews. And, I started at one place, I went to work on myself, and I ended up at a different place, and I ended up with the sort of, some of the results that I wanted. At one point, I ended up making about $2,000 in a single week in that job, which was more than I had been making in a whole month when I first started. So I think that nobody would say that they want a fixed mindset, but like I said earlier, it's one of those things that sort of comes on unconsciously. My recommendation for determining if you have a fixed mindset or not is to take some time during the day to quietly meditate and reflect on the thoughts that are going on in your head. What sorts of things are you saying to yourself? Are you saying, I've got what it takes? There's no challenge I can't face, that I can't overcome? I can't wait to learn and grow today? Or are you saying things like, oh man, my job's going to be really tough today. I'm not looking forward to this. I'm going to have a hard time. I don't have what it takes. Or maybe people don't yet realize that I'm a fraud, that imposter syndrome. Take some time to quietly reflect and see what you're saying to yourself. And then if you're interested in developing a growth mindset and practicing personal development, some of the specific strategies that I recommend for that are daily reading. Pick a book and try to read at least 1 page per day. I say 1 page because, sometimes it's more important to just build the habit, even if it's a small habit, if you aren't currently reading. Try listening to some positive and inspirational podcasts or audiobooks when you're driving or when you're at home or when you're working out. Try going to a seminar. This past weekend, I went to an insight seminar, and it was absolutely fantastic. kind of blown my lid off. And I'm someone who's been practicing personal development for 13, 14 years now. And there's still a lot that I have to learn and a lot that I have to consistently apply. You could join a mastermind group or go to a networking group. That's also a great way to practice personal development. If you ask and look around, there's a good chance that you'll be able to find a mastermind group. I've been going to a mastermind group for nearly 3 years. We meet weekly and we discuss our goals and we hold each other accountable to the actions that we commit to taking. And that's been excellent in my life and in my personal development. So ultimately, personal development is an action, and I encourage you to actively participate in your own self-improvement. Commit to yourself and start to work on viewing yourself as someone who's worth improving. And try to have quiet times during the day where you can listen to what your thoughts are telling you and then analyze those thoughts and say, do I have a positive or negative mindset? And am I approaching life with a growth mindset or a fixed mindset? And then finally, one quote that I learned or heard from the seminar that I took this past weekend that I'll share with you is that most people are playing life not to win, but rather to not lose. So ask yourself, are you playing life to win or to not lose? Well, thanks very much for listening to this video. Looking forward to coming back to you soon with another lesson for my kids. So thanks, and hope you have a great rest of your day.